Hello and welcome to this week's Craft and Chat. I'm Amanda Fowler and we're live here on Facebook and YouTube. Thank you so much if you're joining me live today, and if you're watching the replay, thank you for taking the time to come and hang out with us. 20 minutes or so of chatting, and then I've got some crafting. So how are we today? You can probably hear with my voice. Those of you that were here the last week will know I was sick. Well, I got sicker and I'm beginning to get better now, thankfully. But yeah, it's a bit of a nasty bug. So do let me know how you're doing and where you're watching from, and do the sound and light check for me. That would be awesome. I am just going to double check that I'm live over in Facebook. Sometimes Facebook's being a bit tricky these days. So sometimes it doesn't actually show up there where it should do. So we are there. And let's check on YouTube as well. Yep, awesome. Live across the board. So let's get all my comments going. Okay. Look at the state of me. I'm all a bit bedraggled today. So I've had, it's first Monday of the month. No, it's first Tuesday of the month. Had card class today, and bless them, I choked today on a Jaffa cake. Needless to say, Heimlich maneuvers were very nearly needed, but my awesome customers were racing around looking after me. Yeah, who knew that a Jaffa cake could incite that kind of coughing fit? So obviously, because I've got this virus, cold, flu, whatever it is, I've got a tickly cough now and again anyway. But I obviously decided to inhale the Jaffa cake, not actually swallow it. So I don't recommend it. It's not good. But what I would like to say is, let's talk about Jaffa cakes. I'm not at all put off by the fact that I nearly died this morning. Jaffa cakes. So over the past little while, we're doing a bit of a survey on Jaffa cakes, and currently my favorite Jaffa cakes aren't McVitie's. They're Lidl's version of Jaffa cakes. They're thinner and they're really good. But the lovely Lynn came to class a couple of weeks ago, 3 weeks ago, and she had an oldie version, which was Cherry Bakewell. Oh my goodness me. So my question is, Jaffa cakes, yes or no? Different flavored Jaffa cakes, got any preferences? Because the other thing that I saw, and I'm trying to think, I'm not sure whether it was Marks and Spencer's, but there was a hot honey Jaffa cake. Now, hot honey, just in case you didn't know this, hot honey is a bit of a trendy condiment at the moment. A lot of pizzas and pizza restaurants infuse honey with chilies, which is how you get hot honey, and then you drizzle it over the pizza. But it's actually really nice drizzled over lots of things like cheese and various other things. But hot honey Jaffa cakes. So Jaffa cakes, Yes or no? Flavoured Jaffa cakes, favourites. Share. And I'll read all the messages and drink my tea. Hi, Stilla. She's saying hello to everybody. Stilla was with us this morning, rescuing me from my Jaffa cake incident. Rob saying hello. Good. Donna's saying the picture and sound is all good here. So, Donna, I'm guessing it's after midnight with you now because your clocks have changed, haven't you? Thanks, Margaret. And Liz is saying the sound and light's fine on YouTube. Excellent. Scylla's saying that I need to look after myself and she's going to do the same. She's been poorly too. Yeah, so I've got one more live. I've got a team live this afternoon. And then I'm going to take the rest of the day off and probably tomorrow off because Brian and I have had a bit of a mad weekend. It was his best friend's 60th. So we've been in Whitley Bay over the weekend. And for those of you that don't know where Whitley Bay is, go to Newcastle and then go north. It's so beautiful. Beautiful beaches and wonderful food. It's been lovely. But obviously I've been testing and making sure I didn't have, the really nasty bug. Because we were seeing family and lots of different people, and obviously I didn't want to take COVID to them, but I just kind of kept out the way. No hugging. Rob saying sounds like I've been through a war. I honestly, looking at me, I look so bedraggled. Oh dear, it's a good job. You're not here to see my face, you're here to see the crafting. Oh, no. Marion, no, I'm not saying we need to stop eating Jaffa cakes. No. My life would be sorely depleted if I couldn't eat Jaffa cakes. I love Jaffa cakes. Oh no, Donna often has coughing fits. Good afternoon, Ali. Blackcurrant Jaffa cakes, where are they from? Donna's saying any cake. Margaret prefers the traditional kind. Yeah. Honestly, though, if you like cherry bakewells, and for my international friends, I actually, maybe I should, I don't know, do Jaffa cakes translate? I don't know. So Jaffa cakes are not, well, they are a cake. Yeah, it's one of those weird things. But basically, it's a little disc of sponge. This is the traditional sort. A little disc of sponge with a bit of orange jelly. And then the top of it is coated with plain chocolate. And it's real chocolate, not rubbishy chocolate, but really nice chocolate. And they come in a packet. And I think the packets are, there's like a dozen of them in there. And I can easily sit and eat a whole packet. And bizarrely, if you eat too many cakes or biscuits or things, sometimes you can feel a bit, but no, not with Jaffa cakes. I could eat the whole packet and I'd be fine. So that's a traditional Jaffa cake, and McVitie's make them. But across the board, all the other supermarkets and department stores make their own varieties. Oh, so Rob's saying the blackcurrant ones are McVitie's branded ones. Ooh, I'll have to find those. I couldn't get any of my family to be interested in the hot honey ones, which was a tad disappointing. But Connor was saying orange chocolate. even that's a stretch. So that's an interesting thing, because some people really don't like orange chocolate, which is kind of bizarre. Very, very bizarre. Okay, so I'm going to have to keep slurping my tea to make sure that I don't start coughing again. We've got quite a few things going on in the world of Stampin' Up. Currently, there's a kit sale on. So any of our boxed kits are between 10 and 30% off. There's quite a big variety. And I would absolutely say, if you are thinking, I'm going to say the C word, if you are thinking about Christmas, seriously, for people who you struggle to purchase things for, one of the like all-inclusive kits is a great purchase. So you can, there's all sorts of different kits. So there's Christmas kits, Christmas cards. There's like a journal for Christmas. There's a garland kit. So the Harvest Home garland kit, I've actually done a video on that. So do check that out. That's a 30% off kit. That's £16.80 currently, which is amazing. There's pop-up kits, there's Halloween kits, there's bouquet kits, all sorts of different kits. And when I say an all-inclusive kit, they include all the glue. Some of them have stamps and ink pads. So, you know, they're a great kind of complete gift. And for those of you that celebrate Halloween, there is some Halloween. Ooh, let's have a look. Halloween treat bags. The Haunted Home is out of stock at the moment. So, yeah, you can't get that. But there's a Christmas ornament kit as well. So all sorts of things. So do check that. Do check that out. And then there is the big news, which is the recruiting team joining offer that Stampin' Up is running at the moment. Now, I keep talking about this. I talk about it even when there's not an offer on. But right now, I don't know why anybody is actually buying anything from me. I think I should have no sales whatsoever at the moment, because I think everybody should join because the offer is ridiculous. Okay. So the offer is, if you join as part of my team, it will cost you £35. And you can choose £130 worth of products. So you can choose an extra £95 worth of products. And that includes everything on the website. So it includes discounted products. It includes the kits that are in the sale at the discounted prices. It actually includes some stuff that isn't even available for customers until November, because we're in a pre-order at the moment. So if you just want one bundle, I don't know, traditional labels bundle, that's like £40. You can get it for £35 and then another £90 worth of products. I had a customer email me yesterday, and she wanted the Advent kit, which I have mentioned. Let me just see. Is it still available? Yeah. It's called the 12 Days of Crafting Advent. It's got the outer bit is Christmas themed, but the inside are sort of all occasions. It includes a stamp set and dies and papers and all sorts of different things in it. And you open a door, and there are 12 doors. That product is £94. And she sent me an email and said that she wanted to order that. Could I order that kit the next time I had an order going in, and she'd collect it from me, which is a service that I offer for all of my local customers. And I emailed her back and I said, I can, but it's a much better deal for you to join. And we had a chat backwards and forwards, and she actually joined yesterday. And for me, I understand that it sounds too good to be true. I also understand that everyone thinks that there must be a catch. There isn't a catch. You will, the starter kit will sign you up as a demonstrator, but that is a title. It's not a requirement. And again, I was talking to some customers yesterday who said, yeah, but Amanda, you have a business, and surely you want people who join your team to run big businesses and to, run classes and events. And 95% of my team purchase for themselves. They don't run classes. They don't run events. They might have the neighbours in now and again to do a bit of card making, or they might do some card making with their mum or their sister, or they might do a bit of scrapbooking with the family or some crafting with the grandkids. But the majority of their purchases are for themselves at a discount. And it's, I don't know, it's kind of like being a preferred customer. And, yes, there are sales criteria you have to hit, but that first one isn't until March. So you've got plenty of time to kind of figure out what it is that you want to do or not do. But like I said, I'm not really sure why I've got any customers currently. I think you should all join. And I'd love to chat to you about it. I'd love to explain it. So just send me an email. Let me put my email address up. You know my email address anyway. But email me, call me, message me, whatever works for you, and we can chat about it. But it's the best value, and it's the best deal for you. So, and like I said, why have I got customers? I love you. I love the fact that you shop with me. But join. Seriously. You got till the end of October, so you got plenty of time to ask me questions. Okay, so I am, let me get my comments back up. Rob saying that they also do lime Jaffa cakes as well. Ooh, that sounds good. And Sally's here. She's looking forward to watching some crafting. Sally, how are you, lovely? She injured herself last week. Let me know. Okay, so today I am going to be crafting with something that keeps coming in and out of stock. And and it's one of those things that I keep thinking, oh, well, I won't show it this week because it's gone out of stock again. It's currently in stock, but on low stock. So, but it's downstairs. Hooray! Okay. Right. Bear with me. I've got to run downstairs. Not actually run, because if I run, I'll start coughing. I need to go and get the products that I'm actually going to be using. Seriously. Okay. So this is what I'm going to be working with. It's the Sunflower 3D embossing folder. Now, whilst I'm talking to you, I'm just doing a bit of watercolouring. I don't want you to see yet. So I'm going to talk and colour at the same time. What I'm going to do is show you some techniques that you can do with all of your 3D embossing folders. And it's just a really nice way of sort of extending the use of your embossing folders, because the thing is, we buy things, don't we? And you're really excited and you use them for a particular purpose, but then you think, oh, well, that's done now. I've used that, and the next time that I go to use it, it's going to be the same. So what you actually need to do is to use your products in multiple ways. When you're buying clothes, people say, you should make sure that it goes with things in your wardrobe already. And actually, when I'm buying crafting stuff, there are things that I buy because I need them. Is anyone else? I need that. So I buy things because I need them, but then other things I buy because I know that they are going to work with other things that I have. Or it means that what I can actually do is use something else in a different way. So this particular embossing folder was one of the first things on my list when it came out, because I knew that there would be so many different techniques and different things that I could do with it. Right, I've nearly finished my watercolouring. It will all make sense in a little while. So I'm just going to go and put this in the sunshine so it can dry. I will be back in a second. So my studio is at the back of the house and it's north facing. So there's never any sun on the back of the house, but the front of the house is south facing. It's always sunny. So it can dry whilst I do lots of other crafting, and then we'll get back to that in a second. So poor Sally. Is it your shoulder? Basically, she can't stamp, cut out, or colour one-handed. Oh, but she's got a magic painting book which she's able to do. Brilliant. They're really cool. Okay, so I am going to get this camera turned around and we will get on with some crafting. There we go. Okay, so this is the it's called Sunflower 3D embossing folder, and for my international friends, I know this keeps coming in and out of stock across the world. In Europe, it's currently in stock, but it is low stock. It is an 8 by 6 centimeter embossing folder. It's a thick one. It's a 3D embossing folder. And it is so beautiful. And you can position your card in lots of different places so that you can get a variety of different effects. And that's what I'm going to do today. So I've got several cards to show you to do, but the first one, because I need to get this watercoloring done, we are going to start out with that. So this is a piece of watercolor paper. It's a standard fluid 100, and I've just cut it in half, and I'm going to pop it in. And like I said, you can position this. So I want to make sure that I've got these two big sunflowers here. And we've got the thick plate and the grey speciality plate. I'm not sure how much this is going to wobble the table. We'll just get that done. So you can just see the depth of the embossing. It's really, really amazing. And you can see here, this is the deboss side, and it's actually the deboss side that I'm going to be working on for this particular technique. But what we're actually going to have to do, as you saw from earlier, I need to let it dry. So what I'm going to do is start with this one and end with this one. So I've got a water spritzer, and if you don't have any water spritzers, put those on your next order. It's less than £5. You get 2. But honestly, it just makes getting water on your project so easy. It's a really fine mist as well. Okay, so I have wet it all over. I'm just going to put a little bit on the back so it doesn't curl too much. But I'm working on the deboss side. So I'm working on the side that's got the holes. And I've got 3 colours. So I've got pumpkin, I've got daffodil, and I've got garden green. And I've just put a bit of re-inker in the lid. And reactivating the ink with the water spritzer. So I'm going to start with the pumpkin in the center. And it's the centers of the flowers. Then I'm going to go into the daffodil. I'm going to go back in with the pumpkin again in a minute. I'm just putting the petals in. And I will lift this up in a second, show you. I can see from the top, it just looks like it's all just blobs. It kind of is, but that's okay. I'll show you. You can kind of see a little bit where the colour's pooling. So we'll just go back there. I want a bit more depth of pumpkin, so I'll put a bit more ink there. And because I've wet this already, you can see how it's taking that ink and it's just spreading it out. And then I'm just going to put a little bit more pumpkin sort of at the tips as well of some of these petals. And this is one of those projects that you need to leave it for a while, allow it to dry, and then you're going to go over it again. And that's why I've got one already drying. So I'm going to leave this once I've put the green on. So where there are leaves, I'm just going in with the garden green. And I don't mind if it kind of flows in from one to the other. That's okay. It can do that because you will see later on what's going to happen with this is the color is going to kind of all flatten out. So I know this looks a bit of a mess, eh? But we are just going to move that out of the way. I'm going to pick it up so you can see it. So you can see all the colours. And we're just going to put it to one side and let it dry. And the other one's drying in the other room. So that's fine. So whilst that is drying, I am going to show you a few other different ways of using this 3D embossing folder. So I'm going to start out with a piece. This is just a piece of basic white card. And a couple of tips when you're using embossing folders, any embossing folders in any die cutting machine. Okay, so regardless of what embossing folders or what die cutting machine you've got, there are a few things that really make a difference. The first is the hinge. Always put your embossing folder in so the hinge goes first. Basically, your die cutting machine squashes like this through rollers out to this edge. So it means that the pressure goes like that and then is kind of released with this open edge. If you put it in the other way, there is a potential that you can blow out that hinge, and that basically destroys your embossing folder. So that's a really bad plan. If you've got a standard size embossing folder or one of the smaller 6x6s, when you're putting your embossing folder in your die cutting machine, always make sure it's going in first, not going in sideways. Again, you can damage the hinge. This is the most delicate part of your embossing folder, and it will break. It will cause a problem. So don't do that. Okay. So I've popped that in. Make sure when you're putting it on your plate, it's straight. Don't put it in wonky because, again, you can damage it. Okay. So let's get another bit of grid paper. I'm getting inky today. And let's take this and we are going to get my Highland Heather ink pad. And again, so this is the embossed side. This is the raised side. We're actually going to work on the debossed side, which is the hollowed side. We're going to take the ink pad and we're going to drag it over the top of your card. Now, the easiest way to do that is to hold. So if this is your flat piece, you're going to hold your ink pad at like 45 degrees and pull it back gently. Don't press and kind of flatten it. Do it with a bit of an angle. And if you start light, you can always go back over it. What I absolutely don't recommend you do is you take your ink pad and you smash it down because that's just going to flatten everything. I'm right-handed, so I tend to hold it down with my left hand and I do half, and then I turn it around and I do half. Okay, so let's just pull that down. Can you see? Turn it around, pull it down again. You can go side to side as well. The more times you go over it, the darker it will get. But obviously, once you have finished putting the ink on it, it will dry slightly lighter. But you can see what's happened because this is the deboss side. All of that detail has been caught on there. Now, here is the card I made earlier. So you can see how that works really beautifully. This is a different bit of the embossing folder. But you can see how beautifully they both work together. You can do the reverse. So you can do this side. It's not as good. I'm going to show you a different way of doing it. But let me just show you. And the reason I don't think it's as good is because of the way the ink settles. So can you see? It's not as defined. So if you flip that over, if you look at that, that's really crystal clear that is your sunflowers. Whereas that way, it's fine, but it's not as lovely. So I prefer that way. And there's one card. Ta-da! Okay, and then another thing that you can do is you can ink up your embossing folder. So I'm going to show you how to do that. But then I'm not going to be able to use the embossing folder again. So I am just going to emboss 2 pieces of card at the same time. And that's the amazing thing about the size of these folders. Actually, no, I don't need to do that. I only need one. I need one for this bit. Okay. So I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with this one in a minute. And oh, I'm just prepping for the, I've got about 3 more techniques to show you. So I just need to prep, and then that means that I don't have to clean the embossing folder. It will make sense in a second. Let's just get that done. Okay. Right. Okay, so this time what I am going to do is I'm going to take my ink pad and I am looking for the debossed side. Hang on. Yeah, so this is the debossed side. So this is the hollows, and then this is the emboss side, so the bit that pushes up. And I'm putting ink on this side. You can do it on both sides. Actually, let's do that. Let's do a 2-in-1. Do both sides at once. And then you'll be able to see. So I'm putting ink. This is Bubble Bath. I'm putting ink on the debossed side. And ink on the embossed side. So I'll put that there and that there. And we'll run it through and I'll show you the two effects. Oh, that's like a 2-in-1. Thanks, Dino. Okay, now, whenever I get customers to do this, they freak out because we're putting ink on the embossing folder. It's not going to make any never mind to your embossing folder, so long as you are using Stampin' Up! Water-based dye ink. Do not do this with StazOn or any other kind of permanent ink. Just water-based dye ink, and you'll find all I'm going to do with this is stick it under the tap later on. But let me show you the two different effects. Can you see? So that's the debossed side. So you can see the hollows. And that's the embossed side. And, you know, they're both beautiful. I tend, so I've got a sample here. I tend to use the debossed side more when I'm doing this technique. I prefer it. But the two options are amazing. Okay. So next up is this. So this is a 2-tone cardstock. This is Peach Pie, and I embossed it. And here I've got a sanding block. Now, we used to sell these. This is actually, look, it's an actual branded block, Stampin' Up! Block, but any kind of block that you'll find in your DIY store. And I'm just going to rub over the top to lift off the highlight of the embossing folder. Now I have a bit of magic here. This, if you don't like sticky things, you will not like this. It's one of those textural things that some people like and some people don't. It's called a tack cloth. And I think it's got like wax on it. You buy them from DIY shops for cleaning down paint surfaces to get the dust off. But it works really well to get the sanding off. Look at that. How cool is that? Now I thought I had a sample of that one. Yes, I do. So very cool. Let me give you, here's one I made earlier. So that works really well. And obviously this is just a single color, but you could do this with a patterned paper as well. So that's 3. So now I've got a couple more to show you. So this is the, I want to say country woods. Yes, it is. This is the country woods paper. And I have, you can just see there, I've embossed it. And what I'm going to do with this is, again, this is the debossed side. Got a Misty Moonlight ink pad. And I'm going to do exactly the same with the patterned paper that I did with this one. I'm going to hold it down and swipe it. Can you see the magic of the embossing coming through? And just go over it a few times. Sometimes going from a different direction will give you a bit more of a shading. But how cool does that look? And because this is like a wood, it's a wood grain effect paper, it gives you all these different tones, which works really beautifully. And I do have one that I made earlier. So that's those. Now I have the watercolor one. Just, it's the last one for me to show you. Let me go and get the other version, which has been drying. Okay, so this is completely dry, so I can use it. This one is still wet, and you can't work on this if it's wet. Now what I will do is just go in and add a bit more yellow, a bit more daffodil in there, and build up the color a bit more so that I end up with something like this, which is really vibrant, but it has to be completely dry. If it's not dry, it won't work. And then what you're going to do, this time using early espresso, and it's the same swiping technique, but honestly, this one, every time I do this, it blows my mind. So, ready for this? Ready for the reveal? It's really cool. So let's start at the top. Just look at that at the first swipe. I'm just going over it a few times. How cool is that? It makes it kind of look like velvet. It honestly, it is amazing. It's gone from being blobby colors to, thank you, Margaret, to being this incredible image that makes, I don't know about you, but that makes me feel like an artist. That's so cool. But you can see why that has to be completely dry, because if any spot there was wet, that early espresso would just bleed everywhere. So here's a completed card. I'll show you because it's a different bit of the image. So you've got different shades and tones. This one I've gone a little bit lighter with the early espresso. Might just look. You see, sometimes I'm lighter handed. Sometimes I just have to go back over it again. You can just see the tones. It's amazing. So you've got, so this is watercolor paper. So you watercolor first, leave it to completely dry, and then swipe over the top. You've got that one, which is just swiped. This one is also just swiped, but on patterned paper. And then you've got this one, which is inked on the embossing folder. And then this one using a sanding block. So lots and lots of different ways to use your embossing folders. I hope that has given you a little bit of inspiration and shown you a few techniques. I would love to see what you create. Please send me pictures. I love to see the pictures of the things that you've created. Send me a quick email. That would be amazing. Everything that you've seen today can be purchased in my online store. If you pop over to my blog, which is www.inspiringinking.com, you'll see clickable links there for my store and lots of other creative inspiration. As I said at the beginning, this sunflower embossing folder in Europe currently is low stock. My international friends, it keeps coming in and out of stock. So it depends which market you're in as to whether or not it will be available. But hopefully it will be back soon if it isn't already. Take care. Thank you so much for joining me. And remember, Craft and Chat is on every week again now. So I will be here at 2:00. And I look forward to chatting with you next week. Take care. Goodbye.